I was sitting in the back, probably nibbling on a piece of jerk chicken or something, and I heard that. I almost dropped it. And I looked up, and I started paying really attention. She was talking about previous coverage of the Miami Herald about Jamaica and other places. And after the program was over, I went up and I chatted with her, and I said, you know, maybe with the perception you have of the Miami Herald, maybe a perception that of a past Miami Herald, not the current paper, because you know I'm there, Jackie's there, other folks who are really concerned and interested in the Caribbean are there, and we're reporting on the region. And that woman has since not only become a good friend, but she's been to, I've invited her down to the paper and to visit with editors, and whenever there's something happening in Jamaica that she thinks we should cover, she would call me or call one of the other editors and to sort of to get her point across. So that's part of the reason why I go to many of these events. One, to hear what people are saying about the Herald, to talk to people about the Herald, but also to just to be around my people and just talk about what's happening in the region.
But to point out how good a job you're doing, and directly too, is what happened with Jacqueline Charles and Patrick Farrell. They went to Haiti, and Patrick got the Pulitzer Prize. And Jacqueline was with him, and those pictures are fabulous in the Miami Herald.
Oh, they're just amazing.
Yeah, and you know that every day in Carl's Corner, my own blog, I go to the Miami Herald first on the computer to see what are the news. For instance, today, there is a fabulous article written by my favorite columnist, Leonard Pitts. Leonard wrote an article today about how things are changing in the world, you know, how even a CD is something old today, you know, with the iPod and all that. And I remember me when the 78 long was something of the past. But now all the modern things we're getting here today are getting to be passé. I receive, every time I go to those parties, get together, a bunch of CDs from different promoters.
Right.
You know, I never open one because I go on the computer, I find what I want.
And you put it on your iPod.
Yes, it's so simple.
That's right.
So this is crazy, you know, the world is really changing, and Leonard Pitts wrote a good article about that. But to come back on Patrick Farrell, non-Haitian, non-Caribbean, he brought up in Miami, he did a beautiful job. And I see he's a very simple, humble man, and I'm glad that Jacqueline Charles was with him to take all those pictures.
Well, you know, I'm glad you brought up Pat and Jackie's work. They did, to begin with, they're two extraordinary journalists.
Yes,
without
they are,
question.
Definitely.
And they did, for anyone who saw not only Pat's just amazing photos, but also read the eloquence of Jackie's words, writing about Haiti. In fact, I went back and I read some of Jackie's stories not too long ago. And it really, with a combination of the words and the pictures, it gave you the best sense that anyone who was covering the storms gave you about what was happening in Haiti at the time. And you know, certainly Pat deserves the credit for the Pulitzer Prize that he gets, but certainly he couldn't have gotten it without Jackie Charles.
I meant to, you know, I'm glad you said that because, you know, I didn't want to be partial. I like very much Patrick Farrell.
Sure.
And I don't want to take anything away from him. But I was a little bit disturbed. I thought Jackie should have been part of that prize.
Well, partly because it was a photography prize, and that's why
it had nothing to do with the article, because the articles were written by Jackie.
Exactly, and as I said, one, I guess, could not have really done as brilliant a job as the other did without the other.
Yeah, and he did mention that when he wrote Jackie brought him there.
Yeah.
I don't say that because I like Jackie personally. I say that also because of the Asian culture. I will be proud to see an Asian American getting a Pulitzer Prize. She will be the first one.
But the thing about it is that Jackie is going to continue doing just incredible work from Haiti and elsewhere in the Caribbean, because, you know, she covers the entire region for us. And of course, she did a great job last week from the Summit of the Americas. But, you know, let's just see what happens in the future.
Yeah, because, John, you see, I see something changing too, and I'm scared, because I'm from the old school.
Sure.
I see that today, the written press, they even predict that the Miami Herald will be on the computer. It will not be brought to your home anymore. I hope that doesn't come to be, because I like the feeling of holding something in my hand and reading it, although I love my computer.
Sure.
But they're talking like that, about that. People don't have time to read anymore. People prefer pictures most of the time.
People have been talking like that to some extent, Carl, for about 20, 30 years, talking about the demise of the paper. And certainly if you look over time, we've seen a reduction in the number of newspapers that have been in the country over time. So, and we'll certainly continue to see it, but what we're seeing at this point is an acceleration of that whole process. Whether the Miami Herald is going to be completely on paper, I doubt that, and a lot of people do, because for a number of reasons. I mean, most of the newspaper's revenue, or the company's revenue, now come from our paper product and not necessarily our online. And the Miami Herald continues to make money. So as long as that continues, we'll continue to have a paper product. But at the same time, though, the company, the Miami Herald media company, continues to go aggressively into online. One of the things that we did on the World Desk from our coverage of the Summit of the Americas was that we created a page online to cover the summit, literally as it happened. And then we also, I'm not quite sure if you have a Twitter account, but we were on Twitter.
I don't, but I heard about it.
You should.
I don't want to be on Twitter. You know why? Because Twitter limit my words. I think it's 39 words.
I know for you that would be a problem. But it also, and one of the things that we discovered is that there are a lot of people on Twitter, and we had a number of people following us as we covered the summit, as it happened in fairly short bites. So we're experimenting with the new technology, and not only experimenting, but also embracing the new technology. And then we're even going beyond that to see what more can we do, or what can we introduce in this space, in this new technology space. And I think that's what you have to do in order to thrive, and certainly in order to survive.
You know, for instance, I get the Miami Herald every day at home. But if my wife who picks it up first, I don't fight with her anymore. I go on the computer and I get the Miami Herald the same way she does. We read the same stories at the same time. So I think it's a good balance. But I will not want them to eliminate the paper, the physical touch.
You know, one of the things that it's really great about the newspaper, and it's always been, is that as you read the paper, there's always this wonderful surprise that you see in the paper every morning. As you read it, which, if you go online and you see pre-select the news, you get these RSS feeds of just the things that you want. There's just so much out there that you'll be missing.
It's amazing.
I mean, you pick up the paper and you turn the page, and there's always something on one of the pages that, one, you didn't know about, or two, you didn't expect.
Correct.
And just stops you cold. And you got to read it.
What you say is true, because when my wife is my assistant in the news.
Right.
Well, she says, "Oh, you didn't write about this on Carl's Corner?" I said, "No, I didn't see it." "Oh, you see, the computer doesn't give you everything," because she reads the readers' forums.
Yes.
And I don't read the readers' forum on the computer, but she reads the readers' forum on the paper.
Right.
And then she tells me things like that.
What's going on? And the readers' forum, not only for the Miami Herald, but also for a number of papers, trying to figure out how to really work the readers' forum so that when you read it, a lot of people are not insulted by what they read.
I think the Miami Herald is a great paper. I enjoy it immensely. And when I was in New York, I lived in New York for 25 years. I love my New York Post in those days, which was a liberal paper. Today it's a conservative paper.
Right.
But it's still a good paper, and the New York Times I still love, But, John, I don't know if it's because I'm getting elderly or I'm getting more mature. I can't read all those papers. Before I used to read 5, 6 newspapers, but now I only have the Miami Herald. I can't sell the New York Times because I don't have time to read it. I have to receive at home in Miami.
Right. Well, I'm glad you're reading the New York Times online and keeping the Miami Herald. But one of, and just going back to the value of online, for people like you who was born somewhere else, and for people like me who was born somewhere else, one of the values of online is that I can go online and do a number of things. One, I can read the daily newspapers in Trinidad on a daily basis. I can watch Trinidad television news. I can watch, or I can listen to Trinidad radio online. The same thing you can do. The same thing. So there is, I think, a space for that type of,
Definitely.
And it also connects us more to where we've come from. Where at the same time, but if you're in Miami. The Miami Herald, you've got to pick it up.
I meant to ask you that. You went to Haiti in 2007 with Wyclef Jean was there?
That's right.
What was that for?
Well, Jacqueline Charles and Andres Oppenheimer, our columnists, decided to go to Haiti to take a look, and things were getting better.